My name is Angela,
My name is Nicole.
and welcome to the Ominous Stitch podcast. Hello, Stitchers!
Hi, everybody.
Welcome back to another amazing episode of the Ominous Stitch podcast.
Welcome back.
Welcome
Happy
back.
Halloween.
It's still spooky season.
Yay! It's like around the corner. Halloween.
It is. Oh my gosh. Are you I know you're excited. She's like
You don't
dancing.
need to ask me.
This is Nicole's Christmas. This is her. It's the most wonderful time of the year. This is her Super Bowl. This is her everything. Halloween.
Best, everybody.
This is Halloween. This is Halloween. 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 Halloween.
Yep. That's the best.
In this town we call home. I can sing the whole thing. I better stop.
We're going to watch that pretty soon, too.
Are
so,
you?
yep.
Yay. Oh, you know what we watched
What
on
did
my
you watch?
birthdays?
What'd you watch?
We watched The Haunted Mansion.
Did you? Did you like it?
Yes.
Did you
It was
really?
so cute. Yes.
I love that movie.
Yes. It was so good.
Good.
And I kept thinking the whole time, I was like, Lakeith is really good.
Yes.
And he is gorgeous.
Yes.
He's a handsome man.
He is a handsome man.
And so
It's a
it
good
was
cast.
easy to watch. And then Rosario Dawson.
Yes.
We call my dog Rosario Dogson a lot.
Oh my
And so I was like, hey
gosh.
kids, that's Rosario Dawson. And they're like, oh, Rosie. And they got so excited.
I love that. I didn't know that. That's such a good name for her. I love it.
Yes, I sing to her, Rosario Dogson.
Who's just sleeping on the chair right
Yeah,
now.
she is. She's
What
out.
a good dog.
Yes.
Good puppy.
Good
But yeah,
dog.
Halloween season's awesome.
Oh, it was about this time last year when our little black cat Shadow started showing up.
That's right. Who's your
So happy year anniversary to Shadow.
permacat now?
Yeah, he lives here. He definitely
That's
lives
okay.
here.
And he's so sweet.
He's a very sweet cat.
Good kitty.
Yes, but I wish he would learn to use the litter box instead
Oh.
of just pooping in my garage.
Is that what he does?
Yes.
Dang it, cat.
Yeah, I've put a litter box in there where like he poops, and I put the litter box there because he's a feral cat.
Right.
He's just very sweet, and
Yeah.
so we let him hang around because he's a good mouser.
Yes.
And we're worried about him because we have the bobcat again, which is going to be my
No.
stitch.
Oh,
here
yeah.
in a
Hey,
second.
Angela, what's got you stitches? We'll just throw it in there right now.
Yeah. Okay. We better get to stitches.
Yeah.
And we have a lot to talk about today.
Yes.
All right. So the bobcat returned.
No.
Yes.
Don't like
the
that
stupid bobcat. It has a taste for chicken, and it figured out how to get inside one of my coops.
Dang it.
It figured out how to rip the roof off, and it was driving me crazy because I couldn't figure out nothing looked like it was broken.
That's so annoying.
And so I was looking around. I was like, how did it get in? But this past week, it attacked again. And we went out to let the chickens out and water them and, do all of our normal chores.
Yeah.
And then my daughter was like, Mom. And I was like, oh, no.
No.
But this time it was my older daughter, not my younger daughter. My younger daughter is always the one that finds them. This
Of
one was my
course.
older one. And my poor, sweet older daughter. So she is now moving into her teen years. And so she's getting a lot more emotions are starting to be more surface.
Right,
They're
right.
coming up a lot. So she had a tough morning going to school that morning. But yeah, she was okay by the end of the day.
Just emotional.
But emotional that
Emotional
morning to
damage.
find. Yes. To find dead chickens in a coop when you weren't expecting it. So I think I found 2 whole chickens, and then I think 2 other chickens that were in pieces inside the coop.
Gross.
So now that bobcat has taken 12 of our chickens.
Stupid bobcat. I know
Yeah.
that you need to live, but stop living off of Angela's
Yeah,
chickens.
one of my neighbors got a picture of it that morning and sent it to all of us. And so now I know what it looks like.
It's a big one, right?
It's
Well,
so
you saw
big.
it already.
I've seen it. Yeah, I chased it off the property
Yeah.
once. And then that same morning after I took the kids to school, and we'd gathered all of the chickens and put them into, the other coop. So we have 2 coops, and it got into one coop.
Yeah.
And I gathered all of the chickens. There were some that were being very obstinate that wouldn't get in the coop. But, we gathered as many as we could, put them in the other coop. And then I had to take the kids to school. And when I came home, I told the kids, I was like, don't worry, I will get the rest of the chickens and put them in that one coop, and
Yeah.
we'll keep them safe.
Safe.
So I get home And I'm having breakfast because I never eat breakfast until after everyone's at school. And I'm drinking my coffee, sitting at the table, and I see all the alpacas in the backyard just start to herd up. And I'm like, uh-oh.
You know.
I know. If they're herding up, something is out there. And
Yeah.
so I run out there with my bat again, and
Get
I
it.
see it. And I'm like, get out of here, bobcat. And I'm yelling at it. And I'm like just making as much noise as I can. And then it darts off and jumps over my back fence because it's a cat and it can jump over the fence.
It's very agile, yeah.
And even though it's big, it's a big bobcat. But anyway, so it jumped off. It jumped. It didn't take any more chickens that time.
Good.
So I chased it off the
You
property.
protected your
fast enough.
chickens.
Yes, I
Good.
protected my chickens. So now we have 18. We started
of
with
30?
30 before the bobcat came.
Well,
So
at least more than half.
hashtag because math. It took 12 chickens. It took a dozen eggs.
Took like times 3 of that,
Yeah,
right?
a dozen chickens,
Oh,
man.
I'm sorry.
So I figured out where the bobcat broke in. It found a weak spot in the roof. And so I have patched that up. And I also bought a big cage,
Good.
a catch and release cage, but
okay.
to try to catch the
To lure
bobcat.
it, what did you put in it?
Tuna fish.
Hey, I'm sure Shadow's probably gonna eat that.
I know. I keep thinking I'm like Shadow's gonna get in there, but no, Shadow's very smart.
Okay, good.
He's leaving it alone. He's not getting in there.
Don't do it,
So
Shadow.
we have not caught the bobcat. We've had the trap out for I think like 5 days now, and we have not caught the bobcat. But and I also have not seen it. But my poor chickens are now stuck in their coop.
No, they can't
can't-
free range.
I
now.
can't let them run around unless
Yeah.
I'm out there. And, if I'm not out there, they're stuck in their coop. So I just give them as many snacks and mealworms and whatever I can to like keep
Make 'em
them
happy.
happy. Yeah. Give
Aw,
them
poor
toys, keep them
chickies.
going.
You'll get them out eventually. You gotta wait till this bobcat gets like taken away.
Yeah. And then we'll probably let them out like tomorrow afternoon when we can be outside. And We'll be
Yeah.
outside choring
Yeah.
and, we'll let them run
hang
around
out.
when we're outside doing stuff. But
Right.
we can't let them out now. There's
Dang, man.
stupid
Poor
bobcat.
chickens. Stupid bobcat.
Yeah. So,
I'm sorry.
that's my stitch.
Well,
Update on the bobcat.
At least you know, and at least you know what to do now, and you fixed everything.
Yeah,
so.
we fixed the coop. It has been
Yeah.
reinforced
Good.
big time.
Good.
So, yeah, we can eventually move them back into that coop. But right now, we're just keeping them in the one that I know is like super
Safe.
secure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah. That's sad.
sorry.
Oh, another cool thing that happened.
Yes.
So the chickens. Okay, so I have to start. Farm life is crazy, dude. It's like you need to experience it at some point. It is just insane what happens on the farm.
Oh no.
So I was moving the chickens' nesting boxes from the old coop over into the new coop.
Uh-huh.
And as I was doing that, their nesting boxes are full of straw. There were a couple little field mice that decided the straw was a fun place to be in.
No.
And so I was moving the boxes. Two little mice had scurried out of the boxes, and I'm like, freaking
that
out
would
because
freak
they're
me out.
mice.
Yeah.
I mean, they're tiny, little, fuzzy, and cute, but like still, you don't want to see a little fuzzy thing scurrying around.
No.
So I grabbed the nesting boxes, brought them over to the coop, and one mouse did not get out, but a chicken caught it. A chicken caught the mouse. He just
How?
reached in. The
What?
chicken reached in, grabbed the mouse by the neck, started shaking it, and then hit it on the ground.
Did it eat it?
It killed the mouse, and then it like ran around the coop with its treasure, and all of the other chickens were chasing it,
Gross.
trying to get its treasure, right? I was like, what is happening here?
You know, they're just mini dinosaurs.
Yes,
so.
they are. They are. Have you ever seen a naked chicken or a
Yes.
naked bird?
They're
It's so
freaky.
funny.
They look like
they
dinosaurs.
are dinosaurs.
Yeah.
It's so
And
funny.
their eyes, even they look like dinosaurs.
Yes. So anyway, the
awesome.
chicken killed the mouse. And I was like, why do you let them live in your coop? Well, you can just kill them all the time. I'm like, we don't
Apparently.
even need Shadow anymore.
No,
chickens will
are
kill
good.
him. Oh, man.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So that was all on the same day. Like,
Love it.
Like payback for taking your sisters.
It's
Kill
all
a mouse.
mad. I'm raging. I'm going to take it out on the mice.
Anyway, that's my stitch. Enough death and destruction.
Well, we're going to talk about that today.
I'm
anyway,
sure
so,
we are.
yeah.
I'm sure we are. So what's got you in stitches, Nicole?
Well, because it's spooky season.
Spooky.
Halloween's right around the corner, and we love our movies, right? Our horror. Well, I do. I love my horror movies. So I'm going to read you from Nerdist the 12 iconic horror villains and their zodiac signs and see if you can relate to your horror villain.
I don't want to relate to a horror villain.
Yes,
Okay.
you do.
Yes, I do.
It's fun. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So first off, and I'm not going to go into detail about all of these, just the ones that Angela and I are. But we've got Jason Voorhees as a Capricorn.
That's my daughter.
Hey.
Oh, and our latest patron. Hi, Becca.
Hi, Becca. Are you a Capricorn?
She is a Capricorn.
Well, then you're Jason Voorhees. Good job, Becca. Yeah, they said that Jason is a very ambitious and determined being. He only wants to meet his one goal, kill every person who crosses his path. So there you go, Sagittarius.
Yeah. No,
Capricorn.
Don't mess with a Capricorn.
Yeah,
That's what that tells me.
That's right.
Especially if they're in a bad mood.
Oh, my son's a Capricorn. So there you go. Fun. Okay. Next, we've got Aquarius, which is my husband.
Aquarius.
And that's Pinhead. It's fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, Aquarius people are known for their keen intelligence and innovation, and so is Pinhead. So there you go. Next, we've got Pisces, is Samara from The Ring.
Wow. That's interesting.
There you go. Samara's watery demise isn't the only reason she's a Pisces. It's killing entity.
That makes sense.
Wants you to feel what she felt leading up to her death, torturing you for 7 long days and nights before she claims you. And those specific feelings involve pain and suffering, lest you want to die. Complex emotions and chaotic thoughts are the definitely hallmarks of a Pisces.
All you have to do is make a copy. Then you're fine.
Then you're good. I love it. Aries, which is my other son, is Chucky.
Chucky!
Just very fitting. Very, very fitting. It's crazy. Oh my gosh.
Is this your younger son?
Yes. Chucky acts on impulse and has a temper that you don't want to contend with if you're in his path. He will certainly keep you on high alert because his high energy is boundless whirlwind. And that
that is him so much. That's hilarious.
It's crazy.
I love it.
Now, the Nerdist, okay, so I'm on the cusp of Taurus and Gemini.
Yes.
So they actually put me as Taurus, but I don't know.
Oh,
we'll see.
Interesting.
But, Taurus is Jennifer from Jennifer's Body.
Ooh, I've never seen Jennifer's Body.
Oh, I saw it a long time ago when it first came out. It's okay.
I've heard about it,
Yeah.
but I've never seen it.
Well, maybe we'll do a review on that one.
Ooh.
So yeah, is Jennifer really a villain? She's more of a victim seeking vengeance, honestly, right?
Yeah.
So insensitive. She can be insensitive at times, but her alluring personality and pretty girl privilege make it easy for her to gain fans and prey alike. So there you go, Taurus. Gemini, which, this could be me too. I don't know if you've seen this movie, which is crazy, but this is Gabrielle May from Malignant.
No, never. I've never even heard of it.
Okay, to sum it up, she's got something living in the back of her head. So it's like...
Ooh.
Face, and then,
so dual personality Gemini. Got it.
There you go. It's like Voldemort.
The twins.
Yes. So Gabrielle May is literally the parasitic and evil twin of Emily May in Malignant, but we dare say that quite a few horror villains have the duality of a Gemini, balancing their normal side with a darker one. Yep, there you go. That's me. Okay. Then we got Cancer, which is Leatherface, which is another one we'll review at some point.
I've never seen it.
Oh, there you go. There's the old one and there's a new one. So we'll see what we do. Okay, so it's just like the other people on the list. It says Leatherface is not inherently evil. He is a person with limited mental capacity who would probably be kind, but he's driven to do murderous things by his family. He's also sensitive to the point that he hides behind someone else's face, which is terribly sad. I love that. Leo is Hannibal. So it says Hannibal's in-universe birthday is actually an Aquarius, but he gives off the energy of a Leo for sure. He loves the spotlight and lives for drama, doing everything with a fun flair for applause. There you go. Virgo is Michael Myers. These are fun, right?
I have 2 of my children are Virgos.
Oh, they're Michael Myers.
And my mother.
Oh, how fun is that? It says he's born on October 19th, so he's technically a Libra.
Oh, yeah.
But the silent and mysterious boogeyman who moves at his own steady and shockingly swift pace gives you off Virgo vibes. He's hyper-focused on the task at hand and a true strategist who often outsmarts his victims. There you go.
Okay.
Libra. Your Jigsaw.
Oh, no.
Love it.
No,
I read this and it makes sense because, Okay, listen. So Jigsaw's twisted quest for justice is very much like a Libra. John Kramer wants to balance the scales of society, teaching victims lessons or punishing them for their indiscretions with deadly games. He's a smart dude, and based on those contraptions, super crafty as well. I know someone that's super crafty that's a Libra.
Oh, that's so...
Isn't that fun?
I don't know. Sure.
I love it. I'll keep reading yours. Yeah, as Beyonce sings and signs, a Libra will stay on your mind. And once you have seen Jigsaw's work, it will certainly never leave your thoughts.
That's very true.
See?
When I was dating my husband, he was the first one to introduce me to Jigsaw. We watched Saw.
Okay.
And I was just like blown away at the end. I was like, what?
It's
and
so
as
cool,
everybody,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I can watch more of these because I was terrified. I'm like, they're gory and I want to watch it. And then, but at the end of it, I was just like, holy
But it's like,
cow.
wow, that's cool, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
You're Jigsaw. I love that. All right, Scorpio, which is my mom, is Freddy Krueger.
Freddy Krueger, that's my husband and my dad.
Oh, there you go. So yeah, Freddy Krueger's dream manipulations and slippery presence makes you never want to sleep. It makes perfect sense for this horror villain to have a water zodiac sign like Scorpio. This charred killer with sharp fingers can get incredibly violent, and he's passionate about crafting hellacious nightmares in his world. His power seems limitless to the point that it dominates every waking thought of his victim. Freddy can be silly sometimes, but that's only to lure you into one hell of a sting.
Oh, no.
It's good. Sagittarius is Ghostface.
Ooh.
Yes, Sag is known for having a lot to say, stirring up a mess, and being hyper confident, sometimes to the point of their own detriment. But they are also great at conversations and generally fun to be around. That's it. But yeah, is that fun?
Okay, yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, I love that.
Thank you, Nerdist.
Yep.
Thank you for making us laugh today. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Jinx. Okay, so are we ready to dive into this week? This week is a very exciting
This is
topic.
cool.
I'm
You
very
did a
cool
cool
about it.
stitch, and this topic is crazy.
Yeah, I
this
know. I
week.
can't wait to hear more about
Yeah,
it.
I've learned a lot, so this will be fun to dive into.
Awesome. So let's get stitching. Okay, Stitchers. So for this week's stitch, I came across this bag because, I'm always like, YouTube, show me crochet things because, I need ideas.
Right? I love YouTube for that.
I'm like, and I've done a bunch of pumpkins already. We need to do something different.
Yeah.
So I came across this bag tutorial and it was like a super simple bag. I literally did this while watching the movie for this week.
Yeah, but you're so quick. So
no, but it's actually very quick.
Okay.
And it's a very nice bag, and it's a very sturdy bag, and it's a very basic bag. So Nicole and I were talking. I'm like, this would be great for appliques, and she's like, yes, or you could just cross stitch straight on it. I'm like, yes, it would be so
really
perfect
cute.
for that. So you can do all kinds of things with this bag. Super fast, super easy to whip up.
I love it.
And it's, one of those kind of triangular bags. The secret is in the folding. So basically, to make this bag, depending upon if you want to make a bigger bag or a smaller bag, and in this tutorial, let me tell you who did this. This is made by Lunda,
Lunda.
Yeah, Lunda, made by Lunda.
Love it.
On YouTube. And it's called Crochet Bag 6 Tutorial, Step-by-Step, Beginner Friendly. And it is very beginner friendly.
So this is 6. So she's got 5 other ones.
I guess so. Yeah.
Exciting.
I have to go look up what her other bags are. But it's like a simple triangular kind of a beachy bag. You can make a big one or a small one. I made the small one, but the small one's actually pretty big.
I was going to say the big one must be huge.
Yeah. I'm thinking the big one would be a good beach bag or something.
Yeah. Or hold all your crochet stuff.
Hold all your crochet stuff.
Yay.
But this bag it's still like a really nice size bag, and one of you lucky patrons will get it.
Yay!
So I'm not going to say who, logo, but somebody will get it. Okay. And I made it out of Bernat baby blanket because I have a lot left over from my project that I made for my son.
Yes. The thick, chunky yarn, which I like.
Yes. It's nice, thick. It calls for a big, thick, chunky yarn. And this is a super soft bag. It's super nice.
I love it.
So, and it's like sand. That's the color of it, sand.
Ooh,
so
sand.
Very basic. So basically for the smaller bag, it's, I think you chain 26. If you want to do a larger bag, you're going to chain 41. Okay.
Okay.
Then in the second chain from the hook, you're going to do half double crochets all the way down.
Easy.
Okay. So then you'll wind up with 25 half double crochets for the small bag or 40 half double crochets for the big bag.
Got
right?
it.
Chain one, turn.
Okay.
Half double crochet, chain one, turn, half double crochet. That's it. You do that for the smaller bag. You're going to do 59 rows. For the big bag, it's 95.
Bigger is huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically you're making just a rectangle
Easy.
of half double crochets.
Yeah, I can do that.
And so in her bag that she did, she's using a super bulky yarn. So that's why the Bernat blanket, if you want it soft, that's a super bulky yarn. And she's using a hook size 6 for this. Okay.
Nice. Okay.
So,
J-hook.
Yeah. J-hook. 6 J-hook, 59 rows, 25 half double crochets, or 95 rows of 40 half double crochets.
Got it.
That's it. Big rectangle.
Okay.
Now the secret is in the folding.
It's like origami.
Yes, it is origami. And so basically once you have this big rectangle, you're going to take the two ends and fold them back on each other so that you're making a triangle. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So you're going to take one end, fold it to the other edge so it becomes a triangle. Then you're going to take the opposite corner on the other end and fold it up.
Just
to make a triangle.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So you have this big, what is that shape? Trapezoid?
Trapezoid. Sure.
I don't know. But so you make this big, one triangle is going one way, the other triangle is going the other way. And then basically you fold the middle in half. And then you'll see how the triangle will come up and meet the other section.
Love it.
Okay. And then what I did is I just pinned it together where it met. So I put a little stitch saver. What are those called? Yeah.
Marker.
A stitch marker. That's
Yeah.
what those are called. Stitch saver.
Same thing.
So I put a stitch marker in the spot to hold it together. So then I went through both sides of the bag and basically did a slip stitch seam all the way up.
Nice.
And I think that's what she does in the tutorial.
Oh,
I just
okay.
kind of looked at it really quick. I'm like,
You're
how do
like,
you
I
fold
got
it?
this.
I'm like, oh, I know how to stitch it together. So you can do any other kind of stitch, but I like doing the slip stitch because it makes it a really pretty V that makes that seam that comes up.
Yeah.
So you do it on one side, you do it on the other side. That's the bag.
That's it.
It is a big rectangle. You fold it up.
I love it.
And it's all in the folding, and then you just stitch it together, and then you make, a handle, a strap. You can make it however long you want it. I did 3 rows of half double crochets.
Oh, okay.
And I just started in one corner, half double crocheted all the way around, and then I stitched it to the other side.
Nice.
Yeah, that's it. Very simple, very fast.
Super easy.
And this is an awesome basic bag that you can do anything else you want with it. So if I wanted to do some edging around it, I could do like a cute little picot around it, or I could, do other appliques. I was thinking you can make like a little crochet flower and stitch it in there.
That would be so cute.
Or if you cross stitch, you can cross stitch directly on it. That was Nicole's idea. And she was talking about
letters too. Like I was going to do something for my kids' lunch bags, but the material was like too thick, so I didn't do it. But you just put the patch on with the letter, and then you can cross stitch and make it pretty.
Yeah,
and then wash it off, and it looks cool.
Exactly.
So I love that.
So it's just a simple basic bag. You can do all kinds of things with it. And then we were talking about different closures. You can make just like a little loop and put a button on it to close it.
I love
or
it.
if you want to make a flap, you can do that. And I talked about that with the granny square. It's the same shape as the granny square.
It is
one that
exactly. It's cool.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what I made today.
It.
This
Good
lovely
job.
bag. And I made while I watched The Witch.
And she's so quick, man. She's like, I just did it during the movie. I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah. Well, it's fast.
I love it.
The bag comes together really fast. So
good job.
Become a patron and maybe I'll make you a bag.
Yay. Yeah, that'd be awesome. How do you become a patron, Angela?
Oh, well, you can go. I usually do this later, but I can do it.
We're going to do it now.
Okay, cool. We're going to do it now. So you go to podbean.com, which is where we host our little podcast, and you can get any show notes from this show or any previous shows that you just want to know more about. And then if you're on your phone, there's a little red button that you can click on. Or if you're on your computer, there's a button in the upper right-hand corner that says Become a Patron. Woo-woo. So you click on that. You pledge whatever dollar amount you want. It helps us continue to do this for you guys. You have no idea how much this helps us do this for you. And
emotionally and physically.
Yes. And then we send you stuff. We have patron episodes that we release. We have one that's like out now, I think, that we just released.
It's gonna release. Yeah, it's out. It's all right.
Yeah, it's out now.
Yep.
And we have another one that's going to be coming out soon as well.
Yep.
We send you stuff. I said that already. We give you shout outs.
Yeah.
So Becca,
Yay!
Kate, Mike, Janet, Avery,
Yay!
and Renee.
Hey.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys. We love our patrons. So become a patron today. Yay!
Whoop, whoop.
Okay, so that's it for Stitch Time. I'm so ready to talk about Witchy. Let's get Witchy, woman.
That's crazy, but yes, it's story time.
It's story time.
I'm sure all of you have had a brief history lesson, or at least heard about the Salem Witch Trials
Yes.
in 1692.
Some of you may have even gone to Salem and
I've
seen
been
this.
there.
Have you?
Yes,
I haven't. I want to go.
That's gonna be on our
Mom
bucket
trip.
list.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Salem's awesome, but yeah, it had such an impact on our American culture, right?
Yeah.
But did you know that between America and Europe, witch hunts resulted in the deaths of roughly 40,000 to 60,000 people?
No way.
Just from witch hunts alone.
That's insane.
It's a lot of people.
Holy crap.
And obviously mostly were women. So, yay.
Yes.
But true. So yes.
I have a lot of feelings about witches and witch hunts and a lot of feelings about this.
So much. It's crazy. Yeah.
We'll see what comes out of Angela today.
I love it.
I might get a little witchy.
Good. But yeah, I was going to say, like we said, most of them were women. But did you know in some countries in Europe, the dominated executed witch was male?
Good.
So there was some equal love in there.
Equal love.
Yeah. To say the least. All right. So yeah, I'm going to talk about the Salem Witch Trials to get you up to speed if you don't know anything about them, or just more details, which, we've probably learned a little bit about. But I'm also going to dive into the European witch trials because I don't think many people realize what went down there.
Ooh.
It's crazy.
Okay.
So,
I can real quick before
Yeah.
we get into the European witch trials. I did go to a criminal museum one time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, in Heidelberg.
In Germany.
No,
yeah.
not Heidelberg. It wasn't Heidelberg. Where was I? Rothenburg. I was in Rothenburg and Rothenburg is a beautiful city and they have a medieval wall that goes around the old town Rothenburg.
Nice.
And it comes up on Google Pictures all the time. You'll see it. There's like a clock tower that you can drive through and it's like a split street.
Wow.
It comes up it's all the time.
Cool.
But I went to a criminal museum in Rothenburg and they had the dunking cage for the witches and they had all kinds of torture devices, Iron Maidens
today. Yes.
and chastity belts. They had hundreds of chastity belts. It was gross. That's a whole other thing. But they definitely had the dunking cages for the witches there.
That's so
that was
sad.
crazy. Mm-hmm.
Ugh. Yeah, that's very morbid, but interesting at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
That's okay. I love that. No, that's good. Now, before we get into Salem, though, so witchcraft is a tough concept to really explain because it's viewed so differently in the various cultures of the world and has changed a lot throughout time.
Yeah.
The stereotype of witchcraft is viewed as using magic or supernatural powers to inflict harm or misfortune on others. But we have a lot of Asian and Middle East cultures who see witches as more as healers and a big part of the socioeconomic structure. Mm-hmm. I think I talked about this in Clowns a little bit. However,
all I remember is clowns. That's all I remember.
But yeah, no, clowns were viewed upon as like important in their society.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So same thing with witches as healers. Yeah, no, you're like, I know, clowns are terrible.
Yeah.
I know. In Europe pre-Black Plague, witches weren't really a big deal. Even Charlemagne, the king of Italy, decreed the death penalty upon those who executed someone if it was due to the accusation of witchcraft. So they would, he was like, no, you got to die if you try to execute somebody based on if you think they're
witchcraft.
witch. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So he was protective. He was like, no, that's stupid.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, thank you. But due to religious tensions, societal anxieties, and economic upheaval, witches were often viewed as dangerous sorceresses or sorcerers that made a pact with the devil. Then in the 15th century, the Catholic Church created laws against witchcraft, which went into Parliament. And these laws included the death penalty for practicing witchcraft. So,
yeah, because there's a way for the Catholic Church to exercise more control over the people that are there, because they don't want, typically witches are pagans, and they're trying to stamp out paganism, and so they can have more control. We all know this, like
it's terrible. It's a control situation. You're right. And the church. Yeah. So just like Angela said, so there's a correlation with the witchcraft laws and the emergence of Protestantism, because that challenged the Catholic Church's firm hold on the Christian population of Europe.
Yeah.
Boo.
Yeah. All about power, always.
Yep. And what it then came down to was who could offer the most salvation from sin and evil.
Oh my gosh.
So they use that. So what better way to do this and attract the masses than witch hunts?
Oh no.
Terrible, I know.
Oh no.
And of course, the other reason witch hunts escalated was scapegoating. So much tension was happening due to disputes over land, property, and political power. And this was a big part of the Salem Witch Trials, since the colony was a Puritan society, right? And they were marked by inflexibility and extremism. So if you were a single woman without a family, or an older widow,
you
or
must
had
be a witch.
a disability or mental illness, you were pretty much a huge problem to the society and the one to blame for their hardships.
Oh.
And with that, let's dive in to the Salem Witch Trials.
Now we're diving in. Now we're getting started. You guys see how worked up I am already?
That's terrible. I know. This is going to be fun.
Oh, man.
All right. January of 1692. We descend upon Betty Paris, age 9, and her cousin Abigail Williams, age 11, who were the daughter and niece of the Reverend Samuel Paris in Salem, Massachusetts.
They are babies.
We
Those
know
are
this.
almost my children's ages.
Yes, exactly. They're babies.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, something takes hold of the girls. As John Hale, the minister of the nearby town of Beverly, describes, they began to have fits beyond the power of epileptic fits or natural disease to affect. So the girls were witnessed to behave really strangely. They had uncontrollable outbursts of screaming, strange mutterings, crawling under furniture, and contorted their bodies into very peculiar positions. The girls then complained of extreme pain, describing it as being pinched and pricked with pins. The local doctor, William Griggs, was called in, and after examining the girls, concluded that he couldn't find any physical evidence of an ailment he knew of, and diagnosed bewitchment.
Of course.
Of course.
It's not just girls
being girls
and being bored and looking for some way to get attention.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there, and I could be.
Yes. No, there's something I'll talk about of the theory that they came up with in the 70s about it too.
Okay.
But soon after, a few other young girls in the community started to behave in the same exact way.
Of course they did.
Yep. And
because those two girls were getting attention. They're like, ooh, we can join in.
Let's do this too, yeah.
The mass hysteria, like, especially in younger girls, they don't have anything else to do. It's getting them out of their chores. It's getting them attention. They're getting noticed. I want to play too. Okay. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're
Off
good.
my soapbox.
No, I love it. You keep doing it. But they exhibited the same exact symptoms. These girls were Ann Putnam Jr., Mercy Lewis, Elizabeth Hubbard, Mary Walcott, and Mary Warren. Soon after questioning the girls, they blamed their strange behavior on 3 women, claiming they were bewitched by them. This was the Paris's Caribbean slave Tituba, homeless beggar Sarah Good, and poor elderly Sarah Osborne. So those are the 3 that were initially fingered.
Yeah.
Now, we believe Sarah Osborne was accused because she rarely attended church meetings and ended up remarrying an indentured servant, which the Puritans thought she had her own self-interests in mind.
Oh, no.
Gee, I don't want to make myself happy, I guess, right?
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. The town also disapproved of her actions in controlling her son's inheritance from her previous marriage. Yep.
Because he's a man, he deserves all of it, and she should have no say because she's a woman.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Then for Sarah Good, her reputation in the eyes of the town was not up to par due to her rejecting Puritan ideas of self-control and discipline because she tended to torment and scorn children instead of leading them towards the path of salvation. So she's out there yelling at kids for being mean. Oh, she's a witch.
She'd probably be like, girls, snap out of it.
Like, what are you doing?
What are you doing? Oh, no, it must be the devil. No. They're just being, okay.
Girls.
Yeah.
Lastly, enslaved Tituba would tell stories to the children from the Malleus Maleficarum, which is translated to Hammer of Witches. I don't know if you've heard about this, but it was written by German Catholic clergyman Heinrich Kramer. This is the best known treatise about witchcraft, and some call it the Compendium of Literature and Demonology of the 15th century.
Okay, so I always thought her name was Tituba.
Sure, I don't know how to pronounce
Tituba?
it. Sure.
Okay. So Tituba,
thank you for correcting
no,
me.
it's okay. I don't know if that's correct, but I
Tituba.
remember that from watching
Something.
Okay. Stuff. I don't know.
Okay.
So Tituba may have, if she's reading these books to
The
children and the ones that are like, oh no, they're witches, and hello, that's where they're getting all of
the
these
ideas. Exactly. That comes from this book. Kramer presented his views as the church's position, and the book even suggested torture to get confession and death as the end all of witchcraft.
Oh, dear Lord.
But there are stories in there about sexual encounters with demons, fortune telling, and all sorts of morbid fascinations that made Tituba
yes,
an obvious target. Thank you for fixing me.
You're welcome.
The case was brought to magistrates Jonathan Corwin and John Hawthorne, and the 3 women were rounded up and interrogated for several days starting on March 1st of 1692. The accusers were in the courtroom and even displayed their spasms, contortions, screaming, and writhing here as well. Osborne and Good claimed innocence, but then Tituba confessed.
Well, yeah,
Under
torture, it's her
I'm
book.
guessing.
Yeah.
She claimed, "The devil came to me and bid me serve him." She then detailed elaborate images of black dogs, red cats, yellow birds, and a tall man with white hair who wanted her to sign his book. She did admit to sign the book, but then claimed there were other witches in town who wanted to destroy the Puritans as well.
Mm-hmm.
All 3 women were sent to jail.
So, okay, Tituba worked for what household?
The Parises.
Okay, so Tituba worked for the Paris family.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, she's confessing because then she gets to stay alive because
Right.
she's a witch. The Parises are probably telling her, we're going to accuse this person next. We're going to accuse this person next. Is that a theory that's out there?
No, I think they were just tortured enough to like say I need to. And I think in her mind it's probably, yeah, maybe I can get off, or if I'm going to die, I'm going to bring them along with me.
Oh, so this was her own, like,
think
I'm
so.
going to take these women down too.
Yeah, that there's no theory about why she confessed.
Because I'm thinking that maybe the Paris family was just like, hey, Tituba, we're going to use you, accuse these women, and, we'll let you live.
Right.
And she's a slave, right?
Yeah. But a lot of these, you're going to see a lot of them confess because they were tortured so badly.
They just wanted it to
They
stop.
wanted to stop.
Yeah.
That's usually what happens. So I don't know for sure, though. But then the following month, more women were accused of witchcraft. Martha Corey, 4-year-old Dorothy Good,
Holy crap.
and Rebecca Nurse in Salem Village. In addition, Rachel Clinton from nearby Ipswich was also accused. The town became unsettled when Martha Corey and Rebecca Nurse were brought to trial since they were upstanding Puritans who attended church frequently. So if they were accused, anyone could be, and there was no protection.
Mm-hmm.
Poor little Dorothy would meekly answer when she was questioned, and because of this, her answers were taken as a confession that implicated her mother, because Dorothy was
Sarah Good's daughter.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so evil.
Right?
Oh.
And then Rachel Clinton was arrested on independent charges unrelated to the girls in Salem Village. So
she
someone
must have
else
had
was
a lot
accused.
of land or something.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So I have a drawing, and this was Martha Corey in jail.
You guys can see which way I'm leaning on. It's a land grab.
Everybody. Yeah, I hope everybody.
It's a land grab.
Well, when these women were taken into custody, they were all physically examined for unique markings like moles or birthmarks that were thought to be associated with the devil, specifically where the devil drank the accused woman's blood.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is it's so insane and ridiculous and gross.
Crazy.
Ugh.
Yep. Then even more people were arrested in April. I'm not going to give everybody, I promise I'm just going to go a few, but Sarah Cloyce, which was Rebecca Nurse's sister, and Elizabeth Proctor. When Elizabeth was being tried, her husband, John Proctor, objected and was also arrested. Then the next week, Giles Corey, Martha's husband, Abigail Hobbs, Bridget Bishop, Mary Warren, and Deliverance Hobbs were all arrested and examined. But Abigail, Mary, and Deliverance all confessed to being witches, but then named additional people in town as accomplices. See,
they're just taking everybody down.
Exactly.
Oh,
More than a dozen more townsfolk were accused of witchcraft and arrested towards the end of April. By May of 1692, the local justice system became overwhelmed with multiple trials, and the newly appointed governor of Massachusetts, William Phips, who I'm going to talk about a little more, created a special court of oyer to hear and terminer to decide on witchcraft cases for Suffolk, Essex, and Middlesex counties. On May 10th, Sarah Osborne, one of the first accused, died in jail. Ugh. Soon, 36 more warrants were issued to arrest accused witches, which was a mixture of males and females. On June 2nd, the Grand Court was to oversee Bridget Bishop's case, who was described as not living a Puritan lifestyle and wore black clothing and odd costumes. She was convicted.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. 8 days later, she was hanged on what later would be known as Gallows Hill in Salem town.
Oh my gosh. 8 days.
She was hanged.
That was fast. Poor Bridget.
That was the first one. And now the court decided to adjourn and sought advice from the New England's ministers. And a response from Minister Cotton Mather came back, basically stating it's important to still carry out these hearings as witchcraft was a serious matter, but not to allow quote unquote spectral evidence. It's basically testimonies about dreams and visions, which was happening a lot.
Yeah. I had a dream that this witch came. Yeah.
She came and got me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But but once court was back on, they mostly ignored this request.
Of course they did, because it's great theater. These people are bored.
Yep.
They have to live like insanely strict lifestyles. So this is fascinating. This is
fun for them.
TV.
Oh, let's hang some more people. This is awesome.
Oh, no, I think just the courtroom drama. That's what they want to keep going.
Now, more people were accused and arrested for witchcraft, and suspect Roger Toothaker passed away in his prison cell on June 16th of 1692. 5 more women were tried and found guilty in July. Sarah Good, Elizabeth Howe, Susanna Martin, Sarah Wilds, and Rebecca Nurse. These poor women were hanged on July 19th of 1692. Soon to follow, 5 more hanged in August. Robert Califf, a cloth merchant in colonial Boston, wrote a book called More Wonders of the Invisible World, which denounced the Salem Witch Trials. When viewing a hanging on August 19th, he wrote, Mr. Burroughs was carried in a cart with others through the streets of Salem to execution. When he was upon the ladder, he made a speech for the clearing of his innocency with such solemn and serious expressions as were to the admiration of all present. His prayer, which he concluded by repeating the Lord's Prayer, as witches were not supposed to be able to recite, was so well worded and uttered with such composedness, as such fervency of spirit, as was very affecting, and drew tears from many, so that if it seemed to some that the spectators would hinder the execution. The accusers said the black man, devil, stood and dictated to him. As soon as he was turned off, hanged, Mr. Cotton Mather, being mounted upon a horse, addressed himself to the people, partly to declare that he, Mr. Burroughs, was no ordained minister, partly to possess the people of his guilt, saying that the devil often had been transformed into the angel of light. And this did somewhat appease the people, and the executions went on. When he, Mr. Burroughs, was cut down, he was dragged by a halter to a hole or grave between the rocks about 2 feet deep. His shirt and breeches being pulled off, and an old pair of trousers of one executed put on to his lower parts. He was so put in together with William and Carrier that one of his hands and his chin and a foot of one of them was left uncovered.
Oh, gosh.
It's people.
They're going to come up with an excuse for everything. So it doesn't matter.
Nope.
Like once you're arrested, that's it. Like it doesn't matter. You can't, there's no justice.
Seriously.
It's just like, we like the theater and the drama of this. And it's such a black spot in our history. It's so insane to me that people do this and can and have no compassion for each other. And I've
terrible, right?
So much that I want to say. It's so terrible. I'm laughing because I'm just frustrated with the whole situation.
This happened. The fact that this happened.
It's, you don't have the right to enforce your beliefs on anybody else. And this is happening in the world right now, and it's making me upset. We don't talk about worldly topics, but it is happening in the world. And so it's a good reminder that, we are all here on this earth to live together. And it is to everyone's benefit that we find peace and harmony and love and respect for each other. And it's so upsetting to me that I'm going to cry.
No.
It's so upsetting to me that that's such a hard thing for people to do.
The concept.
Yeah.
I mean, what was that, 500 years ago almost? And now it's still happening pretty much.
It's been happening since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
I mean,
people don't treat people the same, anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Back to witches.
We know. All right. Then in September, 18 more people were indicted by grand juries. 5 more passed away in their jail cells. And even Giles Corey was pressed to death by stones after he refused to enter a plea at his arraignment.
I remember that one. That was so upsetting.
That is so messed up.
Yeah.
By October, Governor Phipps's own wife was suspected as a witch, and he then prohibited any further arrests and released many accused witches. Remember I said it? There you go.
Governor my gosh.
He then dismantled the court of oyer and terminer and replaced it with a superior court of judicature, which is the same court Massachusetts uses to this day, and made sure the spectral evidence was no longer admitted. Out of 56 defendants, only 3 were condemned. I mean, 3 shouldn't be, but at least.
Okay. At least it wasn't
53.
everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, 53 were let go. Seeing the chaos the witchcraft trials brought and so many hanged, by May of 1693, Phipps pardoned all those imprisoned on witchcraft charges. But in total, over 200 people were accused of witchcraft in Salem, and 19 men and women were hanged on Gallows Hill, and 5 total perished in their jail cells. And even 2 dogs were killed in Andover and Salem Village, as they were believed to be linked to the devil.
Poor dogs.
These poor puppies.
My gosh.
Over time, people realized what true horror they committed against innocent people. In 1702, the court declared the trials unlawful. Then in 1711, the colony passed a bill which restored the rights and good names of many accused and granted £600 in restitution to their heirs. But finally, in 1957, Massachusetts formally apologized for what went down in 1692. All names weren't pardoned until 2022. One of the names was left out, and these people got together and they're like, no, we need to pardon that last one. Last year. Yep.
It took them almost 100 years to issue an apology. Oh my gosh. It's insane.
Yeah.
And hindsight doesn't do anybody any good.
No, hindsight's terrible. Now, lastly, I talked about this earlier. So note that in 1976, Science magazine published the theory that the original girls and others who suffered from those fits and they were bewitched could have been suffering from ergot poisoning. or ergot. I don't know how to say it. ERGOT.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
The fungus is found in rye, wheat, and other cereals. Symptoms include muscle spasms, vomiting, delusions, and hallucinations.
Oh my gosh.
So they technically could have been suffering from something.
Right.
They just didn't know how to diagnose it at that time.
It must be witchcraft.
Must be witchcraft.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy.
Nicole.
So sad.
Oh.
So sad. So there you go. Got you up to speed on Salem. Rough time in history for America. But hey, guess what? Europe had it even worse.
Oh yeah, they did.
Way
Their
worse.
tortures were insane.
Oh yeah, I'm going to go into some of those torture devices today too.
Yeah.
So the first one we're going to go in Europe is the Valais Witch Trials and other accused Swiss witches. Here's got a lot of fun photos I found too.
Oh my
They drew.
gosh.
They're like, oh, there's the devil.
Let's burn him at the stake.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a whole century before the Salem witch trials took place, there was an even worse epidemic of witch hunts in Valais. If I'm saying that right, if I'm not, I'm sorry. Valais. Valais?
Valais?
Sure. Today it's part of Switzerland.
Yes.
We go back to 1428 when Valais was politically fragmented and again needed some scapegoats. The following information was all documented by Johannes Freund of Lucerne, local clerk of the court, written in 1430. People began pointing fingers of sorcery to the point that in August of 1428, 7 different districts demanded investigations into accused witches or sorcerers. A formal proclamation in Luke was issued claiming the public talk or slander of 3 or 4 neighbors was enough for arrest and imprisonment, even if the accused was a member of the nobility. So if 3 neighbors talked about you, you were arrested for witchcraft.
Oh my gosh. That is insane.
So if you wanted their land or if you wanted them to go away,
yeah, let's get together.
let's get together and talk to say they're a witch. Yeah.
And you better do it before they gather 2 other people and talk about you.
Exactly. But then the use of torture would be used on victims who were slandered by 5, 6, or 7 or more persons, up to the number of 10 who were qualified to do so and not under suspicion themselves, but also those accused by 3 persons who had been tried and sentenced to death for their practice of sorcery.
Oh my gosh.
So they even had a law of who could be tortured.
Oh my gosh.
Now, according to Freund's account, these victims were accused of murder, heresy, and sorcery, and having an alliance with the devil himself. They were accused of paying tribute to the devil, who appeared as a black animal, such as a bear or a ram. These followers were told to avoid holy mass and confession. Sadly, some of these accused were tortured to death without even issuing a confession, and some others did confess to spreading evil within the town, like causing blindness, miscarriages, impotence, infertility, and even murdering and eating their own children.
Yeah.
Because they were tortured to say that.
Yeah. They did not cause any of those things.
Of course not. No.
No.
Then Freund mentions flying witches and how those who confessed mentioned applying a salve to their chairs so they could ride the chairs wherever they wanted. Some even claimed to being werewolves, able to kill livestock while transformed as a wolf. Mm-hmm. Some confessed to lesser deeds, just like ruining crops.
That would be me. I'm not a very good farmer, so I don't do it on purpose.
Sorry. The methods of torture were vile. One method was to simulate drowning, like
the dunk tanks.
Yep.
If you're a witch, you float.
Yep.
Yeah. No, you're
die.
just drowning people.
Yeah. Thanks, people. Now, these witch trials took place over 2 years, well into the 1430s, and sadly, the number of victims is unknown, believed to be in the hundreds. Freund wrote about 700 witches and more than 200 that had been burned at the stake only 2 years into the trials. Victims were tied to a ladder, then pushed into a pyre, and some, as final mercy, had bags of gunpowder tied to their necks in order to make their deaths less agonizing.
Yeah.
So just like blow their heads up.
Yeah. That is an act of mercy, as insane as that is.
Right,
You don't want to slowly die like that.
But don't think women were only accused. It was estimated that 2/3 of the victims were males.
Really? That high?
2/3.
That's amazing to me.
Yeah. It is believed that these men refused to submit to the religious or political authorities, therefore accused of witchcraft. Then in the 16th and 17th centuries, after secular power was well established in Switzerland, the accusations of witchcrafts were used to regulate law and order and impose social discipline, according to the Swiss Info website. 70 to 80% that were executed from accusations of witchcraft were women, and they were mainly guilty of being poor, single, and female.
Oh my gosh. Add insult to injury, people.
Seriously.
Oh my gosh.
I just want to be free. No, you're a witch.
Oh.
Overall, it is thought that 6,000 people were executed in Switzerland for witchcraft alone.
Holy crap. That is a lot of people.
6,000.
Oh my gosh.
One of the last women to die at the stake in Switzerland was Catherine Cotillon Ripond, known as the deformed one because she had a hunchback.
Oh.
Now, there's some crazy legends about her, but one goes back to the late 17th century when a violent storm rolled into Mount Mollison. The rivers flooded the land, uprooting thousands of trees and throwing them against the cliffs of the Pré des Essers. While people were battling against the elements, they witnessed Cotillon dancing in a whirlwind of flaming clouds around the summit of Mount Mollison.
I'm sure she's just getting blown by the wind and then trying to just get out of there.
Yeah, but beside her, though, were two demons who helped her dislodge a gigantic boulder from the side of the mountain.
Sure.
Yep, it broke free and rolled through the pastures of Petit Mollison, which crushed most of the prized cows. Finally, it stopped, and apparently the Pierre et Cotillon is still there to this day with handprints left there by the witch and demons. So it's a legend.
Sure.
Yeah. But even crazier is what happened.
I'm hitting my mic. Sorry.
It's okay. What's crazier is what happened when she was accused of witchcraft. So Montignac, a bailiff, was hunting near Lake Gruyere and claimed to have wounded a fox in the foot. He then heard the fox shout at him in a human voice and run away. Now, we know now foxes do sound like humans.
Yeah. What the fox say?
Yeah. Exactly. So, okay, it sounds like a human. That's what we know now.
Yeah.
But later, Ripond, the Cotillon, who was 68 at the time and already thought to be a witch, right?
Yeah.
Was at a nearby farm where she was hired occasionally. But they noticed that Ripond had a foot injury exactly like the fox that was wounded.
Oh, freaking BS, people. My gosh.
So Montignac arrested and tortured Ripond based on the speculation that she was a demonic shapeshifter and that she also had wrecked the cheese of the farms and blighted their herds.
No, she did not.
She was burned soon after.
Oh, man.
Yeah. In 2009, the city of Freiburg expressed regret for the execution. However, according to executedtoday.com, Freiburg declined to issue a formal exoneration on the grounds that as the state itself was several times discontinuous with the one that put the witch to death, such a gesture would be intrinsically meaningless. And all we can do is sigh.
Yes, all I can do is sigh. This is that
BS.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, the last witch to be accused of witchcraft in Switzerland, and one of the last in Europe, was Anna Goldie, who worked for the Schutte family in 1780. But Jacob Schutte claimed that Goldie put needles in the bread and milk of one of his daughters through supernatural means.
Sure.
Goldie ran away from authorities, but then a reward was advertised for her capture, and Goldie was found and arrested and then tortured. Under this distress, she admitted to making a pact with the devil, who appeared to her as a black dog. When the torture stopped, she withdrew her confession, but she was still sentenced to death by decapitation. Her charges were not of witchcraft, but that of poisoning, even though at that time the law did not impose the death penalty for non-lethal poisoning, and court protocols were destroyed. So technically her sentence did not qualify her that as a witch trial, but she was still a witch hunt led to her sentence. It's poor Goldie.
Yes, poor, like,
So
why? Why?
Because people need to blame something, and they were bored, And that just led to so many people dying. It's so stupid.
It's so upsetting.
Yeah.
I don't understand how I just don't understand it.
Right? Don't understand it. All right, we go to
Okay.
Trier. Is it Trier?
Trier. Yeah.
Trier, Germany. Between 1581 and 1593 in present-day Germany, the Catholic Diocese of Trier in the Holy Roman Empire held the largest documented witch trial in history in view of the executions. Archbishop Johann von Schoenberg was an admirer of the Jesuits and built them a college. But to show he was extremely dedicated and loyal, he decided to purge certain humans in society. So they were Protestants, Jews, and then witches.
Oh my gosh.
Supposedly 3 stereotypes of nonconformity. Now, according to an eyewitness in The Witch Persecutions, edited by George Burr, inasmuch as it was popularly believed that the continued sterility of many years was caused by witches through the malice of the devil, the whole country rose to exterminate the witches. This movement was promoted by many in office who hoped for wealth from the persecution. And so, from court to court throughout the towns and villages of all the dioceses, scurried special accusers, inquisitors, notaries, jurors, judges, constables, dragging to trial and torture human beings of both sexes and burning them in great numbers. Scarcely any of those who were accused escaped punishment, or were there spared even the leading men in the city of Trier. For the judge, two with two burgomasters, several counselors and associated judges, canons of sundry collegiate churches, parish priests, rural deans were swept away in this ruin. So far at length did the madness of the furious populace and of the courts go in this thirst for blood and booty that there was scarcely anybody who was not smirched some suspicion of this crime. Germany, man.
Yeah.
So between 1587 and 1593, 368 souls were burned alive for sorcery in 22 villages. And in 1588, 2 villages were left with only 1 female inhabitant in each.
Holy crap. That is ridiculous.
They left 1 woman.
That is insane. That I don't like that at all.
So
That's
much,
insane.
right?
Well, yeah, okay. Why?
Because again, they said money. Isn't that insane? They don't look at humans as humans anymore at that point. They counted, both sexes, all ages, and all classes were accused. They counted at least 108 people that were of nobility that were executed, and also with positions in the government and administration.
Money.
Yep. And sadly, if you weren't part of the angry mob accusing those of witchcraft, you were most likely accused and executed yourself. Dietrich Flade, the rector of the university and chief judge of the electoral court, was not too keen on the use of torture and didn't really dig into accusing people. So what happened? He was arrested, tortured, strangled, and burned.
Oh my gosh.
So he spoke up, and look what happened. Cornelius Luce, a professor at the university, wrote a book criticizing the persecution of so many innocent people. But then he was soon arrested and forced under torture to publicly recant his views he wrote about. The book he wrote, which the first by a Catholic official, was confiscated and hidden away by church officials. The manuscript was lost for almost 300 years.
Oh my gosh.
Because of the mass witch trials in Trier, news pamphlets were circulated as far as Denmark, which then influenced the Copenhagen witch trials and the North Berwick witch trials. And guess where I'm going now?
North Berwick.
Just keeps moving
This
around.
is so upsetting. Okay, if you're looking for the devil at play in any of this, it's the people that are killing innocent people.
Oh, seriously.
It's
He didn't have to do anything. It's the people.
Oh man.
All right, so North Berwick. This is crazy. Do you think that all before I just talked about was crazy? No, you get ready for this.
I need some yarn. I got to start stitching here. Like,
Take your mind off of it. I'm sorry. Okay. King James VI. He was an evil, evil man. Okay. So he was king of Scotland at this point. He hopped on a boat to pick up his new bride, Anne of Denmark, in 1589. Now, there are differing versions. Either storms were so turbulent getting to Denmark, he had to turn back. The other version is he did pick her up, but then on their way back, the storms hit so heavy that they had to stop in Norway for a few weeks before continuing. But either way, due to those trials I talked about in Trier, they were discussed heavily in Denmark. King James made his way back to Scotland with Anne, but when the admiral of the Danish fleet, Peter Munk, talked with Treasurer Christopher Valkendorf, they concluded that the storms were caused by the wife and an official in Copenhagen who Peter insulted. So the Copenhagen witch trial started in July of 1590. Anna Koldings, a Danish victim, divulged the names of 5 other women as witches. They all confessed to using sorcery to raise the storms that ravaged Queen Anne's voyage, and even that on Halloween night they summoned demons to climb up the keel of her ship. That September, 2 women were burnt as witches in Kronborg. When King James got word of all this, he ended up conducting witch trials in North Berwick because he was sure that it was the women from that small town that caused the storms.
Oh, sure. It's so ridiculous.
Yes,
it's so
it's
ridiculous.
Insane. King James loathed witches and witchcraft, and this news spread to the point that Shakespeare wrote in The Witches in Macbeth during the reign of King James in the early 17th century. So there you get those witches with the toil and
bubble, toil and trouble.
There you go.
Yeah.
But King James rounded up between 70 and 200 witches, quote unquote, in North Berwick. Sadly, the exact number is unknown, but the majority of those rounded up were severely tortured. Now, this is not for the faint of heart, everybody. I told you I was going to go into torture devices. Yeah. One torture device that was used on many women was called the breast ripper. It's exactly how it sounds.
No.
Yeah, there were 4-pronged levers that would encase the breast of the accused witch and then tear it from her chest.
Oh my gosh. No.
The other device was called the scold's bridle. This was an iron instrument that had 4 sharp prongs that were forced into the mouth. 2 prongs pressed against the tongue, the other 2 against the cheeks. It was created so that the victim wouldn't be able to talk. Many who were tortured died from their injuries.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Oh,
I'm showing Angela a picture.
Like it.
It's gross.
I don't like it.
And this is the kicker.
Oh, no.
The way they would detect if you were a witch could be that if you had red hair or an unusual devil's mark, which I talked about before, a birthmark, or being left-handed.
We're witches. We just high five. No, I was at a bar like way back when my husband and I were dating. We went to a bar and it was like a British pub, and some guy, I don't think I was dating my husband at the time. I think I was just there with some friends, and some guy started, I guess, hitting on me. I don't know. He told me I was made of the devil because I was left-handed. We were throwing darts, and I was
from
just
the
like,
1500s, man.
I was like, okay, jerk.
Yeah,
like,
you're a devil for accusing me of witchcraft.
If you think any of that is going to like work on me, no.
No, thank you.
The insults don't work on me. Thank you. That's not flattering.
Thanks for calling me a witch.
Yeah, I'm like, fine.
Jerk. But I learned something. This is crazy. You're going to learn something too. Ready?
Okay.
The word sinister comes from the Latin sinistra, which means left.
We're sinister.
We're sinister.
Oh, wow.
Good times. And old women who used herbs and medicines, or midwives, were also accused
being witches.
of being witches.
Yeah.
Because you knew how to do stuff. Oh my gosh.
You knew how to make
smart.
people better.
Yeah.
Because you're using like all the natural ingredients that have been used for centuries to help people feel better.
And now you're a witch. You can't help people, apparently.
Goodness me.
Yeah. Oh, there's a picture.
This is a fun drawing? It's not.
Circulated in a Scotland newspaper, and this is them, like the devil is out to get,
Yeah.
Good times. Okay.
Oh, man.
Now, it was rumored that the witches of North Berwick would hold their covens, dance, and perform rituals in St. Andrew's Kirk, which was right on the seafront. But it is also said that this was where the accused witches were held, tortured, and eventually tried as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the building.
Poor women.
Poor women. The well-known victim accused of conjuring the storms to kill King James was Agnes Sampson, a well-known midwife. She initially denied the accusations, but after being horrifically tortured, she confessed. Poor Agnes was completely shaved, head to toe. Then she was fastened to the wall of her cell with that scold's bridle. They made sure she couldn't sleep, and they threw a rope around her head. After her confession to the 53 indictments against her, they strangled her and burned her at the stake. But before being executed, she confessed to attending a Sabbat with 200 witches, one being Gillis, or also called Gelly, Duncan. Now, Duncan was a servant and known healer of David Seaton and Tranent, and he forced her to make a confession because he witnessed her exhibit a miraculous healing ability with the herbs.
So she was a good medicinal doctor and helped people. That's what I hear.
Yep.
She used herbs to help people feel better.
Yes.
And so therefore she needs to be killed and tortured.
She's a witch. Yep. And he said he witnessed her sneak out of the house at night.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe she had to go milk a cow or like take care of an animal for crying out loud.
Or he's just lying.
That too. Seaton confronted her, and when she couldn't explain her new ability and strange behavior, he sent her to be tortured. One of the torture devices used on her was pillywinks, or the thumbscrew used to puncture nails.
Oh, no.
I'm showing her a picture.
Oh.
Duncan eventually confessed to witchcraft when subjected to being searched for moles or the devil's mark. She then accused a lot of other people, men and women, of witchcraft. And not sure if it was Agnes or Duncan, but it is said they claimed to have dug corpses from graveyards in the area, dismembered them, tied limbs to dead cats, and then threw everything into the sea to conjure the storm to kill the king.
Oh, dear Lord.
I'm sure they created that story for them. Right?
Yeah.
But most likely they forced the woman, right, to say these during torture.
Yeah.
Duncan was burned at the stake. Then we have Dr. John Fian, a schoolmaster and scholar, another smart person.
Mm-hmm.
He too refused to confess until put to severe torture. They forcibly extracted his fingernails where iron pins were inserted. He was also tortured with pillywinks and the boot, a device to crush his foot and leg. Then Dr. Fian was taken to the Castile Hill in Edinburgh and burned at the stake on December 16th. Before this, he testified against Francis Stuart, 5th Earl of Bothwell, in a supernatural conspiracy. Now, other members of Scottish nobility were accused of witchcraft and burned at the stake. Later, when James took the throne as King of England in 1603, he released a best-selling book called Daemonology, which discussed witchcraft and other demonic magic. And witch hunts continued throughout Scotland. They witnessed about 4,000 people burned alive at the stake for witchcraft between 1560 and 1707. And again, it took until March of 2022 when Nicholas Sturgeon, the first minister of Scotland, to formally apologize for the persecution of alleged witches during the 16th, 17th, and 18th centuries. 2022 again.
Oh, man.
I got one more. I'm going to go into. I know this is pretty good. One more.
It's just upsetting because I'm like,
it's sad, right?
It's so sad. It's a lot. It's a lot and it's sad. And I just feel for all of these innocent people that are just trying to do good and live their lives. Right. And people just get jealous or get upset and don't like something about that one person and just torture and kill them.
Yep.
It's frustrating.
I feel you. I end story time with a trip to Torsaker, Sweden, where witch hysteria, also known as Stora Ovasandet, spread throughout the country due to a trial in 1668. Now, the story goes 11-year-old Gertrude Svendotter and young boy Mats Nielsen were herding goats in Alvdalen near the East Dal River. The young kids got into a fight, and Gertrude, who was older, pretty much beat Mats She's like, I'm going to kick your butt. While they were fighting, the goats escaped and they ended up crossing the river, which means it was shallow, right? If goats can cross a river, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, little Mats ran to his father and whipped up a story of how Gertrude walked on water when she crossed the river. His father told the local parish minister, Lars Elvius. Elvius then interrogated Gertrude over and over until she confessed that she did indeed walk on water. At that time, Gertrude was living with relatives in Alvaden, but her folks were in the neighboring parish in Härjedalen province. She confessed that when she was living with her folks, a neighbor's maid had taken her to see the devil. That maid's name was Merit Jonsdatter. She also pointed out 7 others. The trial happened, as I mentioned, in 1668. And note that Sweden did not have a separation of church and state. So state-employed Lutheran priests had to abide by government instructions. That following year, 6 women and 1 man were beheaded and burned at the stake. So that leads to this.
Just because a little boy was upset that a little girl
he got beat up by a
him.
girl. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And then they're like, oh yeah, witch. Okay, this is a hard name too. Laurentius Christophori Horrendous. There we go. Of another parish. And I don't know how to pronounce that word.
You keep putting crazy words in your story.
Because they're Swedish. And I was like, I got to put it in there, but I'm not going to pronounce it.
Okay.
It starts with a Y, everybody. Now, he was told.
Go to podbean.com and look up our show notes and you can read this
It'll
word
be
for
there, I
yourself.
promise. Yeah. So Horrendous was told to investigate witchcraft in his own parish. So he got to work. And at this point, they used children to testify in court, and torture was not permitted. But they needed confessions to try the accused witches, so torture was ruled as a necessity.
Oh, dear Lord.
Yeah. Now, this is bonkers. To find the witches, Horrendous used children, specifically 2 boys that were called sage boys because they were supposed to be able to spot the mark of the devil. Now, these boys were actually orphans trying to make a buck. So they thought this would be the best way to do that.
Oh, dear Lord.
So they were made to stand at the door of the church to identify witches by an invisible mark on their forehead as they left after church. Note that at one point, one of the boys pointed at the wife of the priest himself. But quickly, she slapped the boy. He apologized when he realized who he accused and claimed, oh, he had been blinded by the sun.
This is so insane.
So insane.
Oh my gosh.
Bonkers. Now, most witnesses were children, so that they were at the witch trial, and they claimed the witches had abducted children on the Sabbath of Satan. What's insane is he tortured those kids to get the right testimony he wanted to hear. He would whip them, bathe them in holes made in the ice on the lakes in winter, and even stick them in an oven, pretend to light the fire in the oven, and boil them. So
he was torturing the children
to get their testimony correct about the witches.
I don't understand any of that. How any of that is.
How could you do that, right?
I don't.
Now,
I don't get it.
After the witch trials, all the children were deathly afraid to go near his house.
Well, yeah, he is the devil.
Yep. But Horrendous managed to bring 100 people, both sexes, to the witch trial. At this point, the records about the trial are hazy at best. We don't exactly know how many were convicted and not executed. Jans Horrendous, the grandson of Laurentius, was told to write everything down that happened, dictated by his grandmother, but he claimed that some convicted were able to escape and some were not burned because they were pregnant. The victims were kept in several different places around the village, and most were not even fed much or at all. But 71 prisoners, 65 women, 6 men, were surrounded by men with pikes and drove them to the middle of town, which they called the Mountain of the Stake. There, all 71 prisoners were beheaded.
Oh.
Once this was completed, their own families removed their clothing and lifted their bodies onto the stakes, which were lit and burned until they went out by themselves. According to Britta Rufina, wife of Horrendous, an eyewitness to this insane spectacle, said the families of the executed went home afterwards without showing any emotions, as if completely numbed. Afterwards, the high court got wind of the executions. Apparently, the local courts did not even have the right to conduct executions without consent of the higher court. Therefore, the executions were unlawful. When the commission was called from Torsaker to the capital to answer for their actions, they were defended by local authorities in Torsaker. They then were basically given a slap on the wrist and told they could no longer conduct executions in Torsaker.
Bad. Well, don't do it again.
Yeah, don't do it again.
Oh, man.
But the witch hunt in Sweden still kept going. Over 400 people were accused of witchcraft and executed. In 1676, Malin Matsdotter was executed in Stockholm, but then authorities proved the child witnesses were lying and it had been a mistake, which made Malin the last accused witch to be burned. At that point, priests all over the country were ordered to tell their congregations in the churches that the witches had been expelled from the country forever.
Oh, magic.
And in Torsaker, those two boys that had pointed out all the witches in the church were found with their throats cut.
Whoa.
They're like, oh, look what you did. So we're going to get back at you.
That's not justice either, but
it really isn't.
I mean,
lastly, it should have been horrendous, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Lastly, in 1975, a memorial stone was erected to honor the victims of the Torsaker Witch Trials.
Was an apology issued?
A stone was created.
I'm going to issue an apology. Nicole's going to issue it with me.
Oh,
we are
seriously.
sorry to all the families, everyone that has had to.
It's just so hard to contemplate how people could do this throughout history. Like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
I don't understand it.
To torture people, to get confessions that aren't true, and then go, oh, we got to burn you now.
Yeah. Just because there's something different about that person.
Yep.
Or they have something that you want.
Yep.
Or
they want some money.
Oh my gosh.
My heart.
The moral of today's story is find common ground with people, even if they're different from you. That's okay. It just makes the rainbow of the world a more colorful place to live.
That's a better way to live.
It's a much better way to live.
You need that diversity. I don't get that.
Diversity makes us better.
Yep.
It makes us better. It makes the world a better place. It makes the world a more interesting place. Challenge your beliefs so that you really understand what it is that you hold true to yourself. And we can only challenge our beliefs if we find other people that have a different idea from what we do.
Seriously.
Moral of today. Golden rule, love your neighbor as yourself, even if your neighbor is completely different from you. Find something to love in them and treat them with kindness and respect.
Unless they're mean to you. And then
if they're mean to you,
then you can ignore them.
You can be respectful and not torture them and not
and
kill
tell
them.
They're a witch. Oy vey.
Oh my
gosh.
Yeah,
so there's story time. That's pretty intense.
Yeah, that was a very intense
But I
story
thought it was appropriate because it is Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
And
a little bit of
witches looked upon as terrible.
Yeah.
Even if you are a witch, like, because there are
lots of modern day witches, and
they're awesome.
Yes, I know some.
Me too.
I know you do.
Yeah.
And they are all about light and love.
Yes, and helping.
Yeah. I have not met a witch that is about anything evil. They're about earth.
Yes.
They're about honoring people and
Yes.
honoring. So
anyway,
if you guys have a story or anything you want to share, you can email us at theominousstitch@gmail.com. We want to hear from you. We want to connect with our Stitchers. We love you guys. You guys make our lives a better place to be. So you can also comment on any of our social medias. And like I said before, you can hop over to podbean.com. That is where we host our little show, and get any show notes or any information from this episode or any past episode that we've done. You can also click on the little button to become a patron and help support our little show. We love our patrons. We love our Stitchers. We love people. We love diversity. Yay.
Yay!
All right. We have one more thing to do. Are we ready for movie time?
Oh, yes.
It's movie time.
this week's movie review is The Witch.
Mm-hmm.
Released in 2015, IMDb rating of 7 stars. Synopsis. A family in 1630s New England is torn apart by the forces of witchcraft, black magic, and possession.
Mm-hmm.
Now, fun fact, this was one of Anya Taylor-Joy's first movies.
Yes.
Which I thought was really cool because she did a great job.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thomason. Yeah.
So if you've seen this or you've seen this,
yeah.
at the end they do explain that they used a lot of like documents from back then in the 1600s to make this movie. And
a lot of the dialogue is from written diaries or written confessions or written whatever. Text. That's the word. Because words.
Which I thought was really cool.
That is the one thing that I found cool about this movie.
Based on fairy tales, that's what it said.
I didn't like it.
You didn't like it?
No, I didn't like it.
Why didn't you like this movie?
It was so intense.
Right?
And it turned me off from the beginning. First of all, her dad's voice, I couldn't stand. It was driving me crazy. I didn't understand.
It's weird, right? It's like this deep, but like gurgled voice.
Yeah, I didn't like it. And I didn't understand how the mom hated her daughter so much.
Because everybody put her against her. Like, she lost the baby.
But,
spoiler alerts.
Yeah, it wasn't her fault.
It wasn't her fault, but she had to blame somebody, and she blamed her
daughter. The freaking dad for being so prideful to get them thrown out of the community.
Yes, that's why I was pissed off. And I was trying to read more about it. I was like, they had some religious dispute, but I didn't understand exactly why.
Yeah, they didn't explain what the religious dispute was, other than like he was trying to be the religious head of his household is what I gathered. He was trying to be which I thought the male was supposed to be, but I guess they wanted it to be more of a community church thing. And he was,
I don't know. Puritans, I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You can be cast out of the society for tying your shoes the wrong way.
True.
Who knows,
True.
right?
Yeah.
So they were cast out of the society. They had to go make their own homestead and live on their own.
Yeah. And they did.
But
they found a very ominous area of the woods.
They found an ominous. They were struggling to make ends meet and live on their own. Their crops didn't do very well.
Yeah, they were dying.
And they just blamed Anya Taylor-Joy for everything.
Yep. Scapegoat.
Yes. Which is
exactly this witchcraft thing.
That's why I was so upset. Because I'm like, they're like, oh no, she's,
even her brother and sister. I was like, I would have
she's becoming like womanly. Yes. And so they're like, we have to get rid of her and she's evil because she's getting boobs and she's going through older. Puberty. I'm like, oh my gosh. I hate things like that.
Right?
It makes me so upset.
The mom went through the same thing. So why would you do that to your own daughter?
And I don't understand hating your children.
Seriously.
It wasn't her fault that the baby was gone.
Yeah.
Because she was doing what she was supposed to do. She was playing with a baby. They were playing peekaboo.
Yeah.
And she covered her eyes. And then in the span of a second, the baby was gone. And she couldn't find the baby.
Right.
Because a witch got the baby. Yeah.
I probably took him up into the sky versus out into the field that she's looking at.
Yeah. So anyway.
And
then she gets blamed for losing the mom's cup. And it was the dad. It took him forever to say, oh, I sold your cup.
At that time, she didn't still like her. It wouldn't have changed anything.
No, because she lost the baby.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh. And they just blamed her for everything.
And then her little brother, she caught trying to go into the forest to get those traps with the furs, right?
Uh-huh.
The food. And she tries to stop him, but then she's like, well, then I'm going to come with you instead.
Yeah.
And it's not her fault.
We know it's not her fault because we're watching the movie.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, you lost another one of our kids.
Right.
And then the younger brother and younger sister, they are evil. And
they're all playing with Black Phillip the goat the whole time. Which, again,
the black goat, worse, imagery, whatever. I'm like, why would you even keep a black goat?
Right?
I don't know. I had issues with it the entire time. I hated it. I couldn't hate my children, and I don't understand. And it was just so insanely overly dramatic. Everybody was so insanely overly dramatic.
Yeah. I love though that for being quote unquote a horror movie, which it wasn't really, there's no like scary element. Like there's no jump scares. Like it's all about the scenery, which I loved. Like the witch, like he was like kind of behind them, you know.
Yeah.
I love that part. I thought that was kind of good. And
I mean, yeah, it was the cinematic elements of it were cool.
Yeah.
But
you don't like that?
No, I don't like the oppressive story. I don't like how insanely dramatic they were. I know. Part. I hate it.
That's the lovely part about it. It's so accurate to those times of what we just talked about, of how families just turned upon each other.
Yeah, you're not going to talk me into liking it, Nicole. It's not going to happen.
Sorry. I've seen, you know, the first time I watched it, I felt the same way as you.
Yeah.
This is my second time, and I was like, after, you know, hearing about the witchcraft trials and now people are, you know, I got it a little bit more.
It was because it was accurate.
Yes.
Yeah. I
not accurate in the sense that there are witches.
Yeah. No. Yes. But accurate in the sense of like the oppression.
Yes.
And
the women, like
the way that women were,
especially at that age, you know, like you're a teenager, you're going to be accused because you're changing.
Yeah.
And you're the one to blame for everything.
Yeah. You're the one to blame for nothing, for natural things that are happening to you and the way that other people are feeling about what's happening naturally to you.
Exactly.
That's what it's upsetting.
Yeah.
And I hate it so much.
Oh.
It upsets me at my core.
But no, yeah, I feel you, and I get it, and I really understand that. But the fact that the way they put this all together as an accurate representation of the time of the Puritans, of family life, of farming life, of struggles, but then like through that element of sorcery, and which was kind of cool. I thought that was interesting, and the whole imagery of the concept of nakedness. Do you notice that? Like, they're all covered up and Puritans, but then the evil is like the witches are all nude.
Naked. Mm-hmm.
The little boy came back nude. And at the end, spoiler alert, she takes off all her clothes and that's all the witches. Like, that's kind of interesting too, that aspect of being free versus
being free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're wicked.
Yeah.
If you want to be naked.
I'm just glad I'm not in that time period right now because I would so be
we
burned.
both be burned at the stake, I'm sure.
We're left-handed. We are sinister sisters.
We be the Sanderson sisters.
Yeah. Sisters.
What if she she sees the bugs and things? What's her name? When I was for Halloween, Sarah.
Yeah.
She's so fun.
I know. I love her.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
anyway, moving
We're
on.
off topic. So how many stitches would you give this movie?
I was in my brain thinking that it competes with Frailty. I hated it that much.
You're kidding me.
Yeah. So I don't think I'm going to give it the negative 25, but it dips in the negative for me.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't like it.
Wow.
Yeah. It's at my core. I don't like it. Yeah.
Interesting. I did appreciate this movie compared to you. I'd probably give it like a 5.5 to 6 stars because it's not horror. It's in that genre because it's a fairy tale of witches and the devil comes at the end, you know.
It's, supernatural more than horror.
Exactly. Yeah. But I appreciate that they really tried to get this as accurate as possible. And it's spooky. I think it was a little spooky still.
Yeah, it was spooky. I just don't like the subject.
Yes.
I don't like.
I get it.
Yeah, the oppression. I can't get past any of that. I don't like it.
Not your cup of tea.
No, not at all.
Well, good. I'm glad I made you watch it. Thinking outside the box, Angela.
Oh, man. Okay, guys. Well, thank you for sticking out another spooky episode, a witchy episode with us. Witchy. Enjoy your Halloween, guys.
Yes, happy Halloween.
Until next time, we'll see you, Stitchers.
See you, Stitchers.